Hi there, welcome back to A Cup of Security. So last Friday we talked about how essential good passwords are for securing our digital lives, and most importantly, how essential it is to use one password for each of your accounts, so a unique password for each account. And the reason for that is because if the bad guys get access to one account, then they're stopped at one account. They don't have access to all of our accounts. So for example, if you have like a Wells Fargo account, a Citi account, an email account, if you have the same password for all of those accounts, then the bad guy would have access to all of those. As opposed to if you have a unique password for each one, then the road stops for them at that one spot. Um, so all that being said, it can get very confusing and hard to remember all these different passwords, right? It can be super confusing because say you have 15 different accounts. You have all of your like bank related accounts, and then you might have real estate stuff. You may have medical accounts. Then you'll have accounts for like the rest of your family, kids, school, etc. The list goes on and on. That can be a lot to manage, like trying to remember all of those passwords. It's kind of like having to remember super important names of people. Like if you have a list of like 50 people and you cannot forget their names, or imagine if you had to remember 50 social security numbers. Like, so all that being said, this is where a password manager comes in handy. So you may not have ever seen a password manager. You may not have ever come in contact with one. So we're actually going to go through and kind of show what one looks like and how you would use one. Bitwarden is cool because it is a free application to use, and it's an app that you can get on any mobile device, your tablet, and also your computer. This means your password can literally come with you everywhere, similarly to like how you bring your phone or your wallet or your keys everywhere, right? Because we're all about trying to make this a good, like, healthy security habit of something that we do all the time. So in order to basically get started with Bitwarden, all you would need to do is go to their website, and I'll post the website in the description below, and you would click on Get Started. And just in case you guys are wondering what this web browser is, so this web browser is called Brave. It is very similar to Google Chrome, but it is security and privacy minded, so it doesn't track any of your activity, and we'll actually do an entire episode on good web browsers to use. So, okay, so we're here at our main create account page. So pretty easy. Here we're going to enter in our email address. So it's the email address we're going to use to log into Bitwarden. You make it an email address that you regularly use, one that you're going to remember. Your name, very simple. What should we call you? The next field is the master password. So the master password is important in that you basically have one password that you have to remember. So you have one password that opens up an account that has 50 passwords or more. You can put hundreds of passwords in there. And the reason why that's important is because you cannot forget your master password. Your master password is very similar to like your social security number. You can't forget your social security number. You can't forget it. Like, it's always got to stay with you, or you need to have a place that you can always like refer back to. So a master password is your key that basically unlocks all your other passwords. So you want to make it something that you'll remember. But again, we're going back to the idea that we talked about last week, which is a phrase that isn't no way, shape, or form associated to you and cannot be located about you online. That's the key. So you would enter in your master password here, and you would retype it here. You can add a hint in here. If you really think that it's something that you may forget, you can give yourself a little hint to help you. But yeah, pretty much like the way a master password works is like if you really can't remember it, you have to start from scratch, which we don't want to do that. So very important to remember that. Alrighty, so now that we went ahead and set up our Bitwarden account, the next step is to start adding accounts. So there's a couple different options here. One is you can go to websites that you haven't been to before or that you have been to, and basically start adding in your username, password. All this fancy URI thing is to your website. So in this case, it would be yahoo.com. One other point that I wanted to note out is, remember how I said you can create a bunch of unique passwords without basically having to create any? If you click this little, the two arrows next to each other and generate password, it's going to magically create this wackadoodle password, and you'll hit select, and you never have to remember that because it gets stored in your password manager. So now you have a secure password that you can use on any, on yahoo.com, on your mobile device, on your tablet, on your computer, and you'll always have that password. You can also add notes in here. You can add your password into a specific folder. There's a lot of different features here, but I really want to keep it simple. But if you guys would like a more deep dive into Bitwarden or any password manager, let me know, and we can talk more in depth about all the features that you see here. Okay, so if we made a, if we went ahead and we added yahoo.com, what would happen is the next time that we would log into yahoo.com and go to like sign in. So the way that it would work is after we would add yahoo.com to our password manager, we would go and click on our little Bitwarden shield icon. And in order to get this icon up here, we would go to the Bitwarden website. And we're going to go to download, and we would go to Google Chrome to download the extension. This allows you to be able to autofill your website similarly to how you might do like using Google Chrome or Safari, how you'll see like those yellow text boxes fill up when you go to log in. And what I'll do is I'll provide the steps that we walk through in the description so you guys can follow them for easy reference. So if we had added yahoo.com, once we would go to yahoo.com and go to sign in, we would be able to open this up and see that there's a login for yahoo.com right here, and be able to click autofill and go from there. And what that would do is that would autofill your username and password, and then you're signed in. The other cool thing is, say if you go to websites and then you enter in a username and password. For example, if we were here and we didn't have a Bitwarden login yet for our username and password, we would go ahead, we would put in our username and password, and then a little prompt will pop up at the top here that would say, would you like to save this password? And then your password is saved. So making passwords easy is super, super awesome when it comes to using Bitwarden. And as I said, we can do a deeper dive into password managers more if you guys would like. I just wanted to keep the basics. I also plan to do a tutorial on like Bitwarden on mobile or on a tablet, so you guys can also see this as on a desktop, but I would also like for you guys to see how it works on a tablet or on a phone, because we're on our phones all the time, right? So the other point that I wanted to bring up today is, why would we want to use a password manager instead of a password autofill, like the one in Chrome or Safari or Keychain or something like that? So the reason why we wouldn't want to use like the autofill Chrome or Safari or Keychain is because those passwords are not secure. They're basically not secure in your web browser, meaning that if a bad guy gets access to your computer, they can get those passwords from another place on your computer or on your phone. So using a password manager like Bitwarden or Dashlane or LastPass or 1Password, any of those, basically stops that. It secures all those passwords, and as long as they can't get your master password, they cannot get those passwords. They are secure, which is really awesome. Whereas the other way, if you use like the autofill, like I had just mentioned, they can easily access those. And I also plan to do a video comparing the different password managers. So I mentioned, like I said, Dashlane, 1Pass, LastPass, Bitwarden, so we can look at which one's like the easiest to use. Bitwarden I like because it's free and it's pretty easy, but I understand that everybody, may have a different learning curve. So what's easy to me may not be easy to someone else. LastPass may be easier to you guys. So we'll actually do an episode on all of those guys, or we'll probably break it up into a couple different ones. So we dived into all about password managers today. And again, all of this comes back to the important component of using 1Password for each of your accounts. That's where password managers reign supreme. If you guys remember Iron Chef and all on Food Network, if you're a Food Network fan, that's where my little reference is from. It's very important to use each password for each of your accounts. And honestly, without a password manager, I find that incredibly hard to do, because then you're going to have to remember 50 passwords. Like I said, have to remember 50 social security numbers. So that is all that I have for you today, guys. Please let me know in the comments below if this was helpful. If you have any questions, comments, things that you would like to talk about in future episodes. And I will catch you guys next week on A Cup of Security. And before I forget, enjoy your Halloween. If you celebrate it, go out and have some spooky Halloween beverages. See you guys.